to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
And we are back. Once again, it is Wednesday afternoon, and we are tucked away somewhere in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. And I have been separating brass this afternoon. It seems like the lead dust may have gotten to my brain a little bit. And I'm starting to forget my whole intro there. That's not good, dude. It's not good at all. I think, actually, I've been feeling a little messed up all week, man. We go with some really nice weather, and then it gets I'd love to say that the cold weather is out of season, but it's not. It's the warm weather that is out of season for us. And the other day, we got 50 degrees one day, and it didn't get below like 45 degrees all night. And now the wind's blowing. It's freaking cold, and they're talking with the wind chill tonight, like 5 below. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is messing with me, man.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was warm. I think it was that 2 days ago, and then I went outside yesterday to try to do some fencing, and that wind picked up.
Oh,
and
it's
it was
horrible,
chilly.
I tell you, it's messing with my mental well-being. It really, really is. I don't feel like doing anything. My running routine in the morning they've just felt like garbage. It's felt like crap. No one take my guns, but I start to feel a little depressed. I hate this time of year. I really hate. I'm counting down the days till spring hits.
Yeah.
I really am.
Yeah.
This whole thing. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And the thing is, spring won't like actually hit. Like it's going to be like this. It's going to be a little bit, and then take it away.
And the problem is with an Idaho spring is that blows in with like 80 mile an hour winds, right? And it'll do that till like June.
Yeah. And then it'll stop when it's like 100 degrees.
Yeah, and then we won't have a lick of wind, no rain, absolutely nothing. Everything will turn to concrete. I'm kind of just complaining today, and it's just the way it is. I just feel today. But so what have you been up to? Anything? You getting lots of chores? Well, you tried to work on your fence.
Yeah, I tried to do that. Did some shelving in the house. So
shelving.
the wife liked it, so I'm doing it throughout more of the house.
I've got a bunch of stuff I need to do in my house.
Yeah.
But I'm in a funk and it's not getting done. It's literally just not getting done. And I walk into the house and I look around and there's like unfinished projects everywhere. Flooring needs to be finished. And it's like the thousands of dollars of flooring is stacked up right in front of me. I just need to get it out of the box and cut it and install it. But does it ever get done? No, not at all.
Well, if your wife says something, you know what to say, right? Just say it's job security.
Yeah. I'd tell her to do it herself. Oh, man.
If I do it today, what will I have to do tomorrow, honey?
That's right. Can't tell her that because she's going to make me. I just had my yearly visit with my tax accountant yesterday. So now's not the time to be pissing the wife off. If that makes any sense. She saw what I did last year. She saw what I made and what I didn't make and how much I spent.
Yeah.
It's not a good week to be irritating your wife.
Yeah. Good point.
I gotta lay low for a month or two, right? Till we can get some of that vitamin B from the sun. But so we had I'm trying to think of what I did. So the last podcast, I talked all about my last class I had. And I do have a class scheduled for tomorrow. I don't know if the weather is going to be permitting or not. I need to look at the weather and revisit that with my student and see if we're going to continue, because obviously there's no way we could have a class today. It's too cold and too... I mean, I guess I could, but they're not going to learn much. Yeah. That's the problem. They're not going to learn much.
Maybe how to curve a bullet with this one.
Yeah, we're talking about Matrix stuff. So, maybe that wasn't even the right movie. I'm bad with movies, but anyhow. So we had a big deal here in the Valley, right? Where in the Valley, like I'm in California. Here in the Magic Valley, there was a big deal at one of the schools today locally, right? There was a supposed active shooter at one of the schools. It turns out there was not, and fortunately there was not. But it seems to me like this was something that is going around, because it popped up at a couple schools like 2 hours away, and then over in Colorado, all within a couple hours. I think someone's just kind of calling around like a prank, some kind of sick prank is what it is.
Those spam bots.
It very well could be. But let's talk about this for a minute. Everyone should be worried, right, if your kids are in school, and be concerned when you get that. But the power of social media, right? The power of everyone talking. So, man, as soon as I heard that, I went online. I went to Facebook, right? To see what Facebook has to say, right? That's always the best place to go to get all your information from.
Yeah, Zuckerberg knows best.
The only place to go to get good information is the Patriot Defense Facebook page. You can check that out. That's going to be good information right there. But no, I went on and I'm getting like 5, 6, 7 different reports, right, of 3 people were shot and life flight has landed and they're hauling away bodies and then I got people who know what I do for a living, and they get a hold of me, and that's fine. And have you heard? Do you know? Have you heard? Do you know? I'm like, no, I think everyone, I hope nothing's happened, but what happened is nothing happened.
Yeah.
And and I will say this, kudos to the people that responded, right? You had law enforcement. I'm sure you had multiple law enforcement agencies show up. I know Life Flight, even though they're really close to the hospital, Life Flight landed, right? Life Flight landed and was there, and there was no shootings, and it was a prank call, but yet they evacuated the kids. And they went and they swept through the school. I think they swept through like 3 times. And absolutely fantastic. I think that's what needs to be done. Like, we don't want to joke around about this stuff. Like, you don't know if it's serious or not. We had an event here last year in Buell where there was actually, I think it was a student that was making those kind of threats, right? And it went on all afternoon. And so they really took it seriously this time at this other school. And, people are like, well, why was Life Flight there? Someone must have been shot. No, they were just being prepared. And I think we had a pretty good response. And I think it demonstrated that when there is a threat like this, whether it's a threat or not, you don't know. You don't know till you know, right?
Yeah. Do you know, were the parents informed right away as well?
I don't know. I think that might have been a big deal. So I believe the school did inform the parents. As far as when in the timeline, I have no idea. But the school and the messages they put out, I don't have it right in front of me, but they laid it out pretty clearly, kind of what had happened, right? Yeah. So I think that was a big deal, right? That the people were mad because the parents said we weren't responded. They should respond. They should tell us first. Well, first of all, honestly, should they tell the parents first? If there's an active shooter, or they think there's an active shooter, or there's a threat of an active shooter, should they tell the parents first, or should they get law enforcement there? Because honestly, I know you want to, you got to comment, and we'll get to it. But honestly, I think, and I'm not trying to defend anyone, I think they're going to get screwed either way. Tell the parents, why didn't you call law enforcement? Call law enforcement, why didn't you tell the parents?
Yeah, I agree. I was on a similar situation now, probably 5 years ago.
You're old now, yes.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
And we responded to something very similar. Had the kids locked down in the classrooms, went through, searched backpacks and whatnot. And I say the parents, because I do think they should be high on the list of first contact, mainly because for information's sake as well, they can be important. So the one I was involved with, it turned out to be a kid who said he overheard a kid say that a kid had a gun in his backpack. And we did basically the same thing, locked down the school. We all,
Should they be first or second informed?
I think it should be, for information purposes, it should be up there, because they're the ones who can sometimes vet, even basically identifying the kid who's saying it, right, and then contact those parents to really verify information as far as like, did your child tell you this?
But we're talking about all the parents, though.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I think in this case, whatever child, if it's a child who's saying they heard something, those parents should immediately be contacted.
Gotcha.
Before you pull the lever, right?
Right.
Before you call everything in, or maybe not before. But you need to verify the information. It's very important. So I think if, say, it's coming from a child, then their parents should immediately be contacted so that it is a matter of verifying the information that is coming through, verifying who that child is, and making it very clear, because that's what happened with us when we responded. It's like, well, who started this? And then it's like, what kid? What kid said this? Did that kid actually contact this kid? Did he actually see the gun? And it turned out after the fact, all this came out when it was, wait a second, if a kid came and said this, why wasn't that vetted like immediately? His parents contacted, figure out what this kid is talking about, what his actual information is before pulling the lever. Because out of that came some, as far as rights and whatnot may have been stepped on, based off of, searching kids' backpacks, things like that. And then this too turned out to be nothing in the situation I was in. And so it kind of made for a mess afterwards.
Yeah.
And I understand, obviously, protecting life and everything is very important. But I think verifying information is of the utmost important, because there's a lot of times, and I think I don't know if I told you on this podcast before, like even arriving at code 3 calls and we get there, drag the dad out and find out the little girl was just made
Didn't
up
want to eat her
stuff
peas or something.
because it was something about her cell phone, right? And so whenever you get those calls, especially when it's juvenile, obviously they are very important to protect, but at the same time, if they are juveniles, their parents are also of the most importance, so that you can verify their information, keep them informed along the way. And, it can be like, you don't want to think your child's that way, but it can be sometimes like little Timmy lies a lot, so you contact the parent.
I'm going to tell you right now, little kids can be pricks.
Yeah. So
they
maybe
really can. Even
maybe
mine.
contacting at least that child's parents first might do that. Not to say that he's always lying, but it might, hey, little Timmy got in a fight with that kid the other day, or he said something mean about him. He might be, that
might be a problem.
Fibbing a little bit to get that kid in trouble. So I think contacting the parents of whoever is bringing the information forth is of the utmost important. After that, obviously you want to get help in there, but at some point, high on the list, I think informing other parents, because as in the Uvalde situation too, I would say as a parent, right? And then having formerly been a cop, I'm not interested in someone else. If my child's involved, I understand you don't want to add chaos to the situation either, but definitely I'm going to trust myself more so to make a decision on my child more so than someone who is getting there. And if they aren't going through properly vetting information, those cops are going to be there just as blind as the parents. Really, everyone's going to be there. They're blind. So if they're not vetting information, I'd rather at least be the parent there to make that decision on my child.
I don't know how this one was called in or what it was. I from what I could gather off of Facebook, because that's all I have access to, right? And different things. But I think that, I don't know if someone called law enforcement or the school did it or someone, I don't know, but they were pretty specific. There was reports of an active shooter in room like 127 or whatever it was. So I'm not sure how that came about, but it's very interesting because as you talk about this, and I'm thinking, there's so many people, so many parents and family members or whoever on Facebook saying, well, I'm just really upset with the way the parents, they needed to contact the parents quicker. They needed to do this. They need to do that. And they're talking about all the parents of the kids that went to the school, not just the one that there's a problem with, right? Well, I think they need to contact. I think because the systems, the schools always use like a text message system too. Let's do that and call law enforcement at the same time. There's multiple employees in the freaking school. But here's the thing too that's interesting. Those same people that are complaining about that are making comments. I read them making comments. Are making comments saying, I hope we don't have another Uvalde situation on our hands. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, so what do you want? Do you want the parents called first, or do you want law enforcement in there first? Make up your mind.
And that's where, I would say, It's just the verifying information, however that needs to occur, however the call comes in. So like it is, if it's that specific information, do something to really verify the information, because the cops really, I won't say are useless, but their use it becomes diminished if the information isn't verified. Because like I said, in this situation I was in,
information.
We were walking around just like, what is going on?
Like, what are we here
don't
for?
know. Literally, the guy could have walked by with a gun and we were stuck inside, like, let's check backpacks of people, let's do this, let's do that, because it was like ultimately, and nobody knew. So, and I understand it's difficult, but it makes it more difficult. And I think somewhat in the Uvalde situation, same thing, right? You had people like all these stories and no one seemed to verify. And so I think these schools and whatnot should have a response set up to where it is like, how are they going to verify information? If it's a student complaint, if it's a call-in threat, like, each one should have a different, how are we going to respond? Like, if someone says in room you should know, like, okay, this is how we verify if there is a situation in the room, right? This is however that goes about, how you contact that teacher, how you, who's the classroom across from that, get eyes on the situation to verify, to figure out who should be the first people to respond.
Yeah. And it just, I was just kind of, it cracks me up, actually, just the whole social media aspect of it. Because, I mean, like the local news station, KMVT, like put the first initial report out, right? That I could find. I'm sure there was more. Because I guess kids were actually getting, and when your kids at school, I mean, you listen to them, right? But then a lot of the parents were taking what the kids told them, and the kids probably don't know anything.
With us too.
But the KMVT put out a news story, and like within like 10 minutes, there's like 300 comments.
Yeah.
And you read everything from calm down, it was just a prank, it was just this, it was just that, to there's been 4 people shooting, shot, and life flights hauling the bodies away. And I'm like, oh man, this was a nightmare. It's like I had people call me, like, because they know I do. They call me, have you heard about this? Have you heard about that? Have you heard about this? And I'm like, yeah, I've heard about it. Well, what do you think? I'm like, well, I think we just need to like wait and see what this is all about first, because honestly, and I don't mind responding to people. I like talking to people, but I mean, I've got the same reports as anyone else, honestly.
What's the saying? I think it's believe half of what you see, none of what you hear, right? With social media, I think it's more believe 1% of what you see, absolutely nothing of what you hear.
Someone actually said that they were there was a teacher. Well, actually, excuse me, I read a comment. And they said, "Well, I know a teacher there who told some kids that there was 3 people shot."
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I mean, you don't know if that's true or not. I would like to think that a teacher's not going to say that.
It's all about verifying information. The one I was involved with, similarly, there was actually a kid that I coach, and my best friend. It was my best friend's kid, right? And I left that getting texts talking about, my son said you guys did this, or like targeted this group or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, no, but that kid gave details about this is what they did. They did this and took so-and-so's backpack, but not that person's backpack. And I was like, and it was very difficult, because I'm like, I don't want to call my kid, my friend's kid, a liar, but it's like, I was there.
Well, you got to
that didn't happen. So and that's why I'm so big on verifying information, because when you don't, it's just so easy for that to spread rapidly. If the school hasn't verified the information, it's just like it's like a wave. It's just going to get bigger as it reaches the shore.
It's like that game, right? That game. What do they call that game? Telephone.
Yeah.
You remember that game where you start out, you got a line of people, and you start out and you say a phrase, and you see how it differences. So like you'd start out and say, well, Cindy Lou went to the fair riding a pony with pink ribbons in her hair. Well, then by the time you go through 187 people, it's Cindy Lou was at the fair and killed a pony to save the world from global warming, and she had purple ribbons in her hair. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it just changes. Metamorphosis happens, and it just, I don't know. It's freaking crazy.
And relating it to self-defense, right? It's the same thing. That's why verify information, right?
Yeah.
You hear something, you think you see something, your neighbor says, hey, this guy's walking. You have to verify that information, right? Don't just go out with your gun cocked and loaded, ready to say shoot.
Right.
Like, you have to verify the information.
Yep.
Obviously, be safe in terms of, don't risk someone getting in, whatnot. But you always have to verify information. And it's more difficult, obviously, the more people you're dealing with. But definitely with schools, it should be verifying this information as best as they can to keep that chaos from occurring and the rumors from spreading.
And verifying that information, so that immediately takes me back to the story that I tell. No, it hasn't happened. It's just a good example of you hear someone breaking into your house at night. So you wake up, so you hear it, you grab your gun, you go out and you shoot the first person you see.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Maybe that was a bad guy, or maybe it was, I don't know, your kid sneaking back into the house.
Yeah.
After they snuck out earlier and you didn't know anything about it, right? Verify that information. So anyhow, we've hounded enough on that. I'm sure there'll be more information coming out, I'm sure later on that, because I'm gonna go visit the social medias after the podcast here.
Yeah.
It's been a couple hours, and I'm gonna see if those people are still worked up to a frenzy, because it was insane earlier.
Yeah.
You really got to get and this is Eli, like you really got to get on social media.
No,
dude.
thanks. I've been there, done that.
It is
Don't want to go back.
Local stuff is very entertaining. And let's just talk about I'm sorry. I want to roll down. Let's just talk about the busybodies in this freaking valley. Like, anyone that listens to this outside of this podcast doesn't give a crap about what I'm about to say here. But
they could probably relate, though. A lot of people.
Let's just talk about the
relate.
video or the crap, right? The people around here. So every town has like a Facebook page. Like Buell Facebook page, Buell Information Facebook page, Kimberly Facebook page, Twin Falls Facebook page, Twin Falls whatever, like 911 and this and that and whatever, right? And these are like the biggest freaking ambulance chasers in the world, only they don't have to go out and chase them anymore. They can sit at home. Yeah. And I'll be on there and I'll see these. I saw 3 police cars zip by me at 95 miles an hour. Where are they going? Is it your business? Is it your business? I mean, this is what I hear all the time. I heard sirens in the distance. What's going on? Somebody tell me.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
Really? This is what I'm like. Get a scanner or do something productive with your life, because this is all. It's not a major. It's not like, hey, there was an explosion on the south side of town.
Yeah.
Like, what was that? Because question that.
Yeah.
But some people are like, I saw a police car drive by my house.
Well,
what do you think's going on in my neighborhood?
Yeah, and that's one of those, like I said, it goes back to verifying, because it's just like
crazy.
If the weatherman's on TV saying it's raining, cats and dogs, and then you call your friend, it's raining cats and dogs, and it's which one of you has actually looked outside to see if it actually is raining, right?
Well,
people get caught up in that, and like my wife, she when we were moving here, right? She was like, yeah, everyone on the Buell Facebook, I guess, or whatever.
Right.
There's stray dogs everywhere. And maybe there is somewhat, but it was like they're everywhere there. And I was like, okay, so we've been here. Yeah. Have you seen stray dogs everywhere?
I hate to say it, but that is a big deal in this town. Is the whole stray dog thing.
Yeah. But it is. And so maybe it's true, but ultimately it came down to like, honey.
Yeah.
Like, what have you seen?
I know it's
so verify information basically, and otherwise, things get out of control real quick.
You can live your life and not know what's going on just because that weird car or that police car drove by your house.
Yeah.
You really can.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. The stuff I see is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Insane. I don't.
And then that's we dealt with a situation here locally too, where it was I would say, like the police department, same thing. It seemed like they were somewhat withholding stuff.
Right.
And a lot of that times, that's why I say verify information. Then you verify the information and then put it out to the public so that they are informed too and it's verified. in a couple situations in my life right now with organizations, schools, or cities and stuff, I'm seeing stuff where it's the school or the city that then blasts people for the rumors and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're the ones withholding information that would clear it all up.
And actually, the authority, and I'm going to say authorities, not necessarily law enforcement, but the authorities, whether it be the city or whatever, they're the ones that are you can't get anything past those city, those nosy busybody city town Facebook pages. You can't get anything past them. I'm going to tell you right now, city. I'm going to tell you right now, law enforcement, fire department, whoever. You're not getting anything past those busybodies of this town. You are not.
Yeah.
Because everyone's cousins, uncles, sisters, aunts, nephew works for somebody, and you ain't getting away with shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a little bit of the Patriot Defense gossip, but it's just freaking nuts, man. I tell you what, people need to, I don't know, what people need to go out and, I don't know, freaking grow a garden. Maybe go to work.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be on Facebook all the time spreading crazy. I'm sorry, that's just freaking insane.
That's why I'm not on it.
Yeah, that's insane to me. So, and I did a little video on it that turned out pretty crappy. So we're going to talk about this again, though. But there was a teacher in Texas, right? What a name of a town, by the way. Rising Star, Texas. You know, Texas has some cool names. You got Rising Star, my favorite one, my favorite town in Texas. Guess what the name is? And I'm not kidding you. This is a cut and shoot.
And
it's three words: cut and shoot. Where do you live? A cut and shoot, Texas. It's far better than where do you live? Rising Star, Texas. Sounds like you know.
Sounds like a movie.
Sounds like a town that was developed by Disney.
A Clint Eastwood like Western, Rising Star.
Rising Star. It reminds me of the Disney. I'm sorry. Anyhow, Rising Star, Texas. There was a school, not a teacher, a school superintendent that left. Him and I think it was the vice principal. They open carry, mind you. There's all kinds of issues here. They open carry guns in school, which is fine. I think firearms should be in school. I think it should be done properly, safely, and with training. We'll get back to why this wasn't. I'm sure people will notice this before I get to it. But they open carry. This gentleman, this school superintendent, had to use the bathroom. So he took off his gun when he was in the bathroom, and he left it in a stall. And when he was done, he left the gun there. It sat there for 15 minutes.
Was this a teacher stall, or they use the same as the kids?
Must be the same one as the kids.
Okay.
Okay. But 15 minutes, okay, because a third grader found it, went into the restroom, saw the gun. Thank the Lord the parents had talked to that kid, and the kid didn't touch it. This is where it gets funny, though. Interesting. The student then goes back to the teacher and reports, "Hey, teacher, there's a I don't know how he said it. There's a gun in the bathroom." And so the teacher sends another student down to verify it. Yeah, right? Verify it.
And this is all what, grade school?
Third grade.
Yeah.
Third grade.
Okay.
Yeah, third grade. And anyhow, so I don't know exactly what happened after that, but let me go ahead. There's an audio clip. It's not real long. I want to play this audio clip, and then I want to tell you what is actually taking place in this audio clip. You probably can figure it out, but I want to tell you exactly what's taking place. Here we go.
A third grader in Rising Star made a shocking discovery when he went to the school restroom. A gun left by Superintendent Robbie Studeville back in January. Studeville confirming that the third grader found the gun at Rising Star Elementary and notified a teacher without moving or touching it. Studeville explained to KRBC that both he and the school principal opened carry on campus. He explained that he was using the restroom and took the gun off and placed it in a stall. He went on to explain that it was left there unattended for around 15 minutes until the student found it. Here's what he had to say about the incident.
This is one of those examples that guns in school, regardless of who takes care of them, are considered a considerable danger. And one should school all of their children to be on the lookout for any kind of unusual or placement of weapon or any other kind of thing that's out of place.
Okay, so I'm going to get back to this audio clip, but I want to state everything else I see wrong, and then I'm going to tell you what's going on and what was insinuated, and this is just dumb. But first of all, I believe in guns in school, but it needs to be done with the proper training. Okay, it could be teachers, it could be superintendents, it could be the average Joe, right? It is what it is, but I think there needs to be a level of training, because I'll be the first one to say there's a bunch of stupid people out there that carry firearms. There really is, and I'm not picking on that's a Second Amendment right. You do you, but you should go out. You should take a little bit of training. There is a level of responsibility that comes with carrying a firearm. Okay, so now let me talk about what's going on here. First of all, there's 2 people that carry in the school. They just said that, and they open carry. Okay, they open carry. I think open carry is dumb. I really do. Especially, let's talk about this. You're in a school setting. You have little kids, right? I'm not saying the kids are going to run up and snatch the gun, but I think for the safety of everyone involved, I think the gun needs to be carried correctly. And I would imagine, just because it was left behind in the bathroom, that there was no level of retention or anything on that open carry gun, on that open carry holster. I think the guns need to be concealed, right? I think they need to be concealed, and that's the way it needs to be done. It needs to be done properly. Like, the kids need to not have access to the gun, and even if it's just riding around on your hip. That's just me. Now, there's also the issue of someone, and I talk about this a lot in my classes, not just now, but I've talked about this a lot in the past. And it's a funny thing, because you hear about this all the time, guns being left behind in bathrooms. Okay, if you're going to carry with a good holster. Carry with a holster that provides retention, one that's going to hold the gun. Now, when I say retention, that doesn't necessarily, if you're going to open carry, I think it needs a strap or something over it, right? That kind of retention. If it's going to be concealed, have a good quality Kydex style holster that will hold the gun in place. Have a good quality holster. Have a good supportive gun belt. Have something in place, so you should never have to, but if you have to take the gun and the holster, if you need to take the gun off, you can take the holster off with the gun as well. Now let's talk about going to the bathroom. Okay, I never in my life have ever had to take my holster off and set it on the toilet paper dispenser or the back of the toilet or on the floor while I'm going number 2. I mean, I just never have. Use a proper holster, get some proper training, have the proper equipment, and this doesn't happen. Right. And then the fact, you're laughing over there, but the fact that I just played this audio clip. They interviewed this guy. What did this guy say? And kudos to the student, the little third grader, for not touching the firearm. That's the only one in the story that did a damn good job at this. Like, he did what he was supposed to do. The school administrator did not. In fact, when they interviewed him, what did he say? He said, I think this is a fine example of why we need to train our kids to not touch guns and how dangerous stuff can be, and they need to report things that look out of place and that are left laying around the school. Let's not talk about the fact that you're the moron who left it in a toilet. You're the problem. The kid's not the problem. The problem isn't random backpacks laying around the school. The problem is the random gun that's being left around the school because of your moronic ass. I'm serious. Do better. Do better. This is dumb. They didn't even... Did you hear how he played that off?
Yeah.
Like we're going to use this as a lesson. Yeah, a lesson that you shouldn't have a firearm. And I'm sorry, but as the instructor in me, I'm like, this is just dumb. This is avoidable.
I agree with everything you're saying. I will say, though, stuff does happen more than you think within law enforcement.
Oh, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does.
Yeah, go ask some of those bailiffs about using the bathroom and where they put their firearm.
It is, but if you do it right? I mean, come on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even with law enforcement, there's a level of retention on that gun. Am I correct?
Yes, that
and does it really need to be removed?
Sometimes when you gotta go,
does it need to? I mean, yeah, your pants.
You want to get a little comfortable.
Your pants need to be removed, but the gun doesn't need to come
Depends
out.
on what holster you got. Sometimes it's just kind of.
Well, you should have a good holster.
How much you care about the firearm you got? It's banging there on the ground.
Good Lord. I'm sorry. That just fires me up. That just the whole thing just is.
Yeah,
and the fact that he played it off like he didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, it's so funny though. Yeah. He sounds
And I
like
got a little animated, I know.
he sounds like a politician with that. Like, how did he turn that from, hey, yeah, I mistakenly, did that. Luckily the student, his parents told him about how to, report a firearm and no harm was done. But I definitely need to take a look at, how I'm carrying and probably receive some more training. So that he's made it into like
I left my
someone else's problem.
I unholstered my 6-shooter out of my John Wayne holster in Rising Star, Texas, and I left it on the back of the toilet.
I ate Sloppy Joe last night, so things got a little.
Things got a little carried away.
By the time I was done, I just wanted to get out of there.
I left old Bessie on the back of the toilet.
I didn't want anyone to see I was the one who left that smell. I think I had to get out there as quick as possible.
I mean, this is just freaking ridiculous. I'm sorry. This just, I don't know. The whole story just freaking irritates me because when I talk about this in class, like people laugh and I'm like, you don't understand. This happens.
Yeah, it does.
And then let's talk about the teacher that sent another third grader in to check out to see if the gun was actually there.
Yeah.
Because she thought the first, I can't believe one third grader, but I'll believe 2. What the hell's that all about? I don't know. I guess it was better than calling the administrator going, there's been a report of a firearm in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then have the administrator go in and go, oh, shit, that's my gun.
Yeah, because it sounds
reholster it and say, that third grader was just, that is full of crap. There was nothing there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was full of crap too till I left my gun on the back of the toilet. Sorry.
Yeah, I like to think maybe this is kind of a nice rural town where like that was just like gun. Like where third graders just know about guns and stuff. Like, hey, mom, saw a Smith and Wesson. Like, that's the image I'd like to have. Hopefully, is that. It's a bunch of third graders who know how to use firearms, who are all safe and snug, and their superintendent is only idiot.
This is actually another thing. This actually kind of likens back to what we just started the show with. So, like, the parents are pissed.
Yeah. Oh, they weren't told about.
They weren't told right away. They were told after, like after the fact. Like, I think, like quite a while after that. I think you need to know if the school administrator is leaving dangerous things out for kids. And I actually listened to part of the meeting, and they were like, hey, they were actually pretty reasonable. They were like, hey, look, stuff happens.
Yeah.
But we need to know. We need not hear this from our kids.
Yes. Yeah,
like,
I agree with that.
You need to let us know, not like come down to the school, there's an active shooter, but we need to know what happened so we're not looking at our kids going, what happened today?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, that's one where you verify that information. Yeah, parents probably aren't the first to need it.
And I'm going to tell you right now,
but
if anyone listening, if any of our listeners are in Texas, specifically Rising Star, Texas, in the Disney town, give them Patriot Defense business card. Maybe they'll listen to this podcast. Maybe they should travel up here and get a little bathroom stall training, a little bathroom stall
gun etiquette,
bathroom stall firearm retention training. I think that's got to be a thing. I'm gonna have to develop a class. It's gonna be like $25, man. It's just super easy. Set it here, keep it on your belt. Worst case scenario, if you got to take that gun off, you know where you put it? In the white hammock. That way you don't forget it. So there you go. Let it swing in the white hammock.
But I agree. Probably. Yeah, with the parents, should be informed of that kind of information so that they don't hear from their
kids. Sorry, you're thinking about the white hammock, aren't you?
I'm thinking about hosting that class, dude. Like, dude, do we make the outhouse training like a step up from that?
Something
from bathroom stall to outhouse.
Possibly. That's going to be another $25. You get $50, you can get the full class.
Yeah. You'll
get the beginner's class and the advanced training.
Retention of your handgun in the woods. That's advanced, right?
Oh, that's for trail runners specifically. I like that. You gotta And you got to do your business and remain at the ready. So, okay, I think we've got another story, and I'm going to let you kind of introduce this one a little bit. I think we got another story out of Texas, right? I'm sorry, we're shifting gears hard and quick here. We could tell bathroom jokes for another hour. We don't want to do that today. So let's talk about this rancher who had some stuff happen down in Texas.
So that rancher, I think he's like 73 years old, and he's now facing charges of, I believe it's murder, first-degree murder, for shooting someone coming over the border. And it turned out there was 2 incidents that same day, if I remember correctly. There was men with firearms who came to his residence. In fatigues, and they had firearms. He let off some warning shots, basically, and he didn't see them again. Later on in the day, he went out to kind of look around some more. Oh, yeah, he called the cops, or at least the Border Patrol and local cops, I believe. They looked around and verified, okay, yeah, we don't see people on your property now. And so they left, right? And then he went out there, I think, doing maybe some chores, but
checking on his horses.
Yeah, checking on his horses, and came across a body, a guy with tactical boots on. Kind of sounds like it fit the description of the guys who were there earlier, but this guy, his firearm he didn't have a firearm.
He had a radio on him.
Yeah, he had a radio, no firearm, and so he, I believe the 73-year-old suspect called law enforcement again. They came out and basically arrested him because he admitted as much as far as letting off the shots and whatnot.
$1 million bond.
Yeah. And it's him and his wife. So pretty messed up situation, but kind of gets into the whole kind of the view of law enforcement and how, when it comes to self-defense and whatnot, people should be aware of, you are your protection rather than law enforcement that way, in terms of, again, kind of verify your own information again, right? You verify what happened and you verify your story. Don't think that law enforcement is going to get there. They are not your attorney, basically. They are not going to get there and walk you through the process of, hey, this is how you tell us this was self-defense.
They get there to do the paperwork. That's it.
Yeah. So you say certain magic words that fits the elements of murder or something like that, right? Even though you didn't do it, you didn't mean to kill this person, whatever the situation is, you have to know that that's upon you. And talking about who should be first to get called in situations. Hey, in that situation, if there's no longer a threat or anything, I would advise that kind of person, if you can call an attorney or something, that should be your first call before, and have them arrive at the same time as law enforcement, or maybe even have a conversation with them prior, walk them through what occurred, right? So that how to basically word it. Because like I said, the cops, not only are they not there for that, but a lot of times, right, they're not heavily trained in the law, right? Either. Right. The legals, they are not attorneys either. So literally, you just say certain words. They're looking at elements of the crime. You can out yourself without even trying to, say what they hear, basically. And so it's just be careful with that when it comes to self-defense. Obviously, no one wants to brazenly take a life, but definitely understand when it comes to defending yourself and your family that the cops are not attorneys. They are not practicing law. And so have your story straight, know what occurred before calling them out, because situations like this can happen. And I'm not even necessarily saying the law enforcement is wrong. It's just understanding what their actual job is. They are not your attorneys. They show up and it's elements of the crime.
Yeah.
I think it's sad, obviously. And then from there, right, the kind of buffer law enforcement has, I remember, people I arrested, right, where I could at least tell myself, well, maybe the DA won't file, it's on the DA now, right? And that's how, so if they hear the elements and they're arresting you, they might think, maybe they won't, file on the 73-year-old guy or whatever. But then again, so I would say it's not as much shame on the law enforcement as it is on the DA for, going through we're going to throw the book at this guy. And then the judge who makes $1 million bond, it's more so on them, but understand your rights or in the situation you're in when it comes down to self-defense of yourself, your family, that's what you're going to be up against, right? Law enforcement is going to look for elements, and if they need to put you in cuffs, they'll put you in cuffs. And then you're dealing with lawyers who, come on, they're lawyers, right? Like, you do not want the fate, and the judge is typically is a lawyer as well. That's how they went up the ranks and became a judge. So you're don't be willing to have your freedom, in the hands of a couple of lawyers who can throw the book at you.
Well, let's, and I agree with 100% of everything that you said. Now, I want to look at the situation. Because there's a couple little things that I would like to, whether or not you think it's wrong or not. I'm going to tell you how I see it, and it might vary from state to state. So the gentleman there was, by all means, he was, he went out. I read the article. It said he hollered at them. He yelled at them. They had guns.
Yep.
They raised their guns at him. He had a gun. He shot over their heads.
Yeah.
And then they took off, and then he called it in, and they came out, couldn't find anything, and then he found something. That's kind of how it went down. So in Texas, you can, by all means, defend your property, and especially, I guess, what I'd imagine. And they said in the article, that's not the first time that people have been on his property, crossing the border, that kind of thing, right? So, he had a reason to be a little protective, right? I get that. Here's the thing. If you have to defend yourself, and I don't know how this is going to be in Texas, okay? And I'm not saying this is right or wrong, right? I don't want anyone arguing with me, because I see this gentleman's, I side with him. But let's talk about this. So what may look bad for him in this, right? It shouldn't, is going to be that warning shot.
Yeah,
if you are scared enough, if there was that many people, they looked all tactical, and you were scared enough to fire your gun, you fire at them. You do not fire a warning shot. So the one thing that might jam this guy up, unfortunately, is that.
Yeah.
That. So I don't know how they're going to look.
But the president told him that's what he should do.
Yeah, I know. Exactly, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
Typically, no warning shots. Warning shots aren't a thing, right? You don't do a warning shot. If you're scared enough to bring out your firearm, your long gun, your handgun, whatever it might be, to protect yourself, you shoot at center mass. Yeah. You shoot to stop the threat. A warning shot is not like stopping the threat.
It literally does nothing.
You are responsible. This is where I think
nothing good.
This is where I think it may get tricky.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is where I think it may get tricky. And I think he would have been better off to say that, hey, I shot one of them.
Yeah.
Honestly. But instead, he said a warning shot.
Yeah.
So you are responsible. You are responsible for every round that leaves your firearm. You are responsible for that. Whatever damage it done, you are responsible for it. And if he said, I shot above their heads, and then all of a sudden 4 or 5 hours later, you find a dead person out there that was struck by your round from your warning shot, you're responsible for that. And I'm not trying to be that guy. I'm not trying to take the side of the federal government. But they're going to say, was that guy with, and obviously he was that guy with the group? Did you mean to shoot him? Well, you already must not have. You shot a warning shot. It took a life. How are they going to play that out? We don't know.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's the thing, like from the cop perspective, right? I've been in that situation where you're like, I wish you didn't say that, kind of thing. Like, but you obviously the rules are, I can't coach the individual on what to say.
Right.
It's like, hey, tell me what happened. And then you ask some details and stuff. You ask questions to get the details of it. But if someone truly doesn't know, like I said, the law enforcement, their job is not to coach you and to really.
They're taking
if you repeatedly are saying, I did a warning shot, I have to take that and I have to write that. And that's going to be that's one of those element things of what does this fit into? He said warning instead of saying I feared for my life. They had firearms. They raised their firearm, and thus I shot at them. Instead of saying that,
I was
you
defending
said
myself.
Yeah,
I shot a warning shot. So now
that changes.
And now it looks like you accidentally killed someone.
Exactly.
And even though they may have been part of the group, you accident. This guy's got to. This is going to be a fight.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. I heard a guy on the radio show that I listened to, and we both listened to, call up and say, "Well, this is man. If they don't let this guy off, this is going to change everything." I don't know that it's going to change everything, and I think we need to be really careful because I'm not saying this guy should get in trouble, I guess, but he fired off a warning shot. He did stuff wrong. Now, I don't want to see some 70-year-old dude be in trouble for this, but don't fire off a warning shot.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise if he gets convicted. It won't surprise me.
I mean, I definitely think it is in terms of the elements of a crime. Like I agree in terms of, I guess the bigger picture of the fact that, like our country is allowing certain things.
Well, yeah.
Right. That's where it could get, and then the whole $1 million bond, as if like you're treating this guy as if like he's running rampant, like just like hunting people down.
Here's the thing. Is he also right? Who died?
Yeah.
Who died?
Yeah.
Someone who came into our country illegally.
Yeah.
And they obviously show no interest in stopping that.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden it's going to go down as a pissed off American, pissed off American citizen went out and shot. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to go lightly on this guy.
And again, that's where, in terms of self-defense, right? That's where that comes into play, right? Because that's how it read initially, at least with the limited information prior articles, right? And it was like, and even this article, like, it isn't completely clear, but I figured, I was like, oh wait, he had a radio, he was dressed in basically the same stuff. It's
of
like,
course.
oh, this guy was with it. But how it initially read and how probably it's going to come across, how they're going to do in court, is that this was a quote,
accidental
person trying to come to the border.
Well, yeah.
And all that. Even then, I think this guy was identified as having come through a couple of times as well.
I don't even think, it may go that far, right? But I don't think they're going to, if they want to convict this guy, that's why they're going to convict this guy.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to have to take it that far. Honestly, I think it's going to be, it's going to be what I would think it's going to go down as, right? And I could be totally off on this. I might just sound like a jackass when I say this, right? It was a warning shot. It's going to be involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah, and that's probably what they're going to scare him with. Like giving him, I think it was at first a third degree, and I don't know how Texas does.
That's what it's going to be.
But that's probably why they would charge him, right? And again, this gets into like, all right, these games, that our legal system does, like, it's. Yeah. Like quite clearly, this is not a guy on the hunt, to kill people, right?
Right.
But they're gonna probably they'll charge him with like first degree murder or whatever. Why? Knowing they're gonna get him in the room, right? And with his attorney, whatever. And then they're gonna, hey, you know what? We'll give you manslaughter though. Scare this guy and then get him to settle for that and to end up in prison one way or another, because they're going to say, well, otherwise we'll take this, to trial in first degree. You could get this, you could get that. Texas allows death penalty, all that, right? They're going to scare him, which again, that's the ridiculousness of our legal system, is that they play those kinds of games, right? They probably know, like, yeah, we're not going to get first degree on this guy. But if we don't charge first degree, then how are we going to get him to settle for manslaughter?
They're going to use this 70. How old is 78?
I think 73. I want to say
70. They're going to use this 73-year-old man. They're going to use him as the poster child for shooting someone that was just coming over here trying to find a better life.
Yeah. Yep.
It's going to be American hate.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be. Exactly. Yep. Unfortunately, but hey man, I don't mean to, I know this is a great conversation today. We had a great podcast. I don't mean to cut this short, but like I said, my son has a new job now. And so like I have to go out and do his chores tonight and I don't feel like it, but I have to get it done. If we have any wood brought up for the fire, my wife's going to be pissed. So I'm over here. If you guys heard this clicking noise, I've got a new toy. And I got a new knife. It's kind of cool. It's kind of fun. I'm going to cut myself with this thing sooner or later. But anyhow, if you listen to the podcast, I appreciate it, man. Share it with your family. Share it with your friends. Share it on social media. Maybe create a frenzy out of it. Wait till you guys have some kind of incident like we talked about earlier today and put, who you should listen to?
Yeah.
Patriot Defense Podcast, and just post that link up there amidst those 300 or 400 comments, and that would help us out a lot.
Yeah, it's great for listening in the bathroom with your firearm properly holstered.
That's right. We'll teach you how to do that. We'll teach you how to keep your firearm holstered in this hand and wipe with the other hand. So anyhow,
do not confuse the two hands.
Do not confuse the two. That's right. Do not confuse it. And if it's a bidet, you can wash your firearm at the same time, man. It's a great barrel cleaner right there. So anyhow, I think we're gonna go. This was our midweek podcast. I appreciate all the listeners. I appreciate all the support. Share it on social media. Check out our Patreon. And I don't know, are you gonna be available Sunday?
Yeah.
You had dinner this last Sunday.
Yeah.
And I flew solo. I did the live solo, and that was super exciting.
Yeah, but you had some, good listeners, chiming in. Josh, right? Josh, I forget what his last name.
Yeah, Josh something. Joshua.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate all the support. You guys have a great rest of the week, and we will fight through this horrible weather and this horrible boredom, and we'll be back here on Sunday. Bye.